In the last episode, Aulo sent Fike to retrieve his friend, Mo. Mo is immediately fixated on Aulo's Alvone ring, and Aulo tells Mo about his experience on the canyon floor. Mo had planned for Raifi, and Aulo decided to join him because he did not want to be alone. After stopping by Mo's den, they traveled to Mo's usual Raifi site. They rested on the small platform suspended over the abyss, and Mo lowered a yun rope in an attempt to catch flyers. They speak of Aulo's role choice dilemma and the possible location of Aulo's mother's works. They then returned to Mo's den, and Mo gives Aulo a grappling tool. Before Aulo leaves, they snuff their lounge and experience the true brilliance of the Alvone ring. They realize that the Alvone is truly something special. Mo has an idea to make something with the Alvone, so Aulo leaves the ring with him before going on his way. Faint noises of distant flutes mark the return of most group members to their dens. I descend to the thin perimeter path etched in the canyon wall. Without my loun, I must move entirely by feel, as if the task wasn't daunting enough. I think of the creature from the canyon floor, expecting to see a flash of light beneath me. But I then remind myself that I am far from the canyon floor. Still, the fear lingers. Fike's soft glow circles in the air just out from me. My palms sweat as I blindly reach for stone holds while moving along the thinner sections of the path. After some time traversing, I reach a path of yun-ru. I feel the hanging strands of yun brush against me. Yun-ru is a mushroom that produces the silk-like yun material that we use for most things. Junarif cultivate yun-ru in these vertical farms that hang from our cliff walls. It is the primary commodity that Junarif offer in trade. I pull my hand through all the unharvested lines of yun along the path. After passing through the vertical fields, my head meets an object protruding from the canyon wall. I feel these two prominent curves merge to create a closed loop. I then look upward and see the soft glow from the rope outpost. This must be the rope mount Mo spoke of. I carefully retrieve Mo's tool from behind and whistle Fike to me. I then hang the grappling end onto Fike's tailhook and tie the opposite end to the cliff wall mount. Fike's luminescence rests against me, and I attempt to instruct him through a series of unique whistles. After a silent moment, Fike takes flight with the grapple end. His luminescence fades into the dark beyond. Fike is not trained for this. I can only hope he understood my meaning. The rope is then tugged slightly from a hanging position. I feel for struggle in the rope. He's not flying. He must have landed. I pull on the slack until the rope becomes taut, and then tie the slack to the cliff mount. I wait for Fike to return, but he doesn't. He must be waiting for me. I gradually rest my weight onto the yun rope, and it holds. Incredible. Mo was right. There's another plateau. My hands move along the rope as I traverse the open gap. The Ounds watch from above, while a daunting abyss looms beneath me. Complete darkness. I wonder how long I would fall. Fyke's luminescent glow appears as I move closer. The darkness becomes dense as I reach the stone cliff face. Feeling my way towards Fyke's luminescence, I find he is wedged between two stones. He eagerly greets me with excited noises, but when grasping the tool end, I realize that it hadn't grappled. The tool was still attached to Fyke's tailhook. Fyke was the grapple. The amount of stress that must have put on Fyke's thin frame. Concerned, I relieve Fyke from the weight and attempt to jam the tool lengthwise between the two stones. It doesn't fit. I try another angle. Doesn't fit. Why do I bother with Moe's half-made tools? I drop the worthless tool into the abyss and feel for a route up the plateau wall. We reach a wide enough ledge for me to mantle. Fyke lands beside me and I briefly check for any injuries. He is fine, but it could have been far worse. Moving along the ledge leads us to a large opening burrowed into the stone cliff face. The opening is deeper than an arm's reach, so we venture further inside. The inside widens and our movements echo. The familiar sounds of an enclosed space. As I walk around the space, I feel the indentations underneath my feet. They feel intentional. There's a gentle breeze coming from above. I look up and see a few Ounds. They are obstructed as I shift throughout the space. I then move along the stone walls, feeling an array of nooks and alcoves. It can't be. I must light my lamp. The paste absorbs and bluish light consumes the space, casting brilliance on surfaces littered with detailed carvings, and the nooks full of written tablets. I am overwhelmed. The space was a dome with a small circular opening to the dark sky. The indentations on the floor form some sort of map. A smile rips across my face as tears well in my eyes. I have found Traveler's Den. The space looked as though it hadn't seen light in many phases. Small creatures scurry between the nooks, and mushrooms protrude from small cracks in the stone. I am drawn to a recognizable symbol in the middle of the floor. The illustrated verticality of our central plateau, topped by the powerful flames of Taudun. It is the symbol we use to represent the Junarif. Curving lines travel from the symbol and connect to the other group symbols. The volcanic lands of the Taunarif, the shallow seas of the Quonarif, and the vast plains of the Kiunarif. Groups I know of, but I never knew their location relative to us. This must be a map of Iorun. There were a couple of groups I hadn't heard of. One group in particular caught my attention. It was the furthest group from the Zhendun, connected by a series of long winding lines. Next to this group's marking was a strange figure. The figure had harsh, non-curving edges and looked as though it was being reached for by multiple carved peoples. The figure is most cryptic. What are they reaching for? My attention is stolen by a plethora of tablets lining the walls. I thumb through some of the tablets and notice they are inscribed with detailed information on flora, fauna, locations, and groups across Ioruun. There is so much information here. Too much for one visit. Fike, obviously not understanding the importance of this find, locates a depressed area in the floor mat. He waddles around it about 7 times, and finally plops down. I am in disbelief. The traveler's den. So much fortune in such a small space. Mother spoke of it, but I had accepted the fact that I would probably never see it. I am surrounded by the physical documentation behind all the stories she ever told. I feel deeply. I come across a tablet marked with the same angled figure as the floor indentation. I quickly read through the notes. Within the Myona Reef region of Ioruun. I had never heard that name, Myona Reef. It means people of the old world. I continue with the notes. A structure of unknown origin. The material is reflective like water, but denser than stone. The structure has 4 seamlessly smooth faces of the same texture and proportion. It was unearthed by the Myona Reef while excavating ground for their raised platforms. There have been multiple attempts to breach the structure, but each attempt leaves not even a dent. When one puts their hand to the structure, they can feel a constant hum from inside. The Myona Reef worship the structure because it represents an advancement they have not yet achieved. The notes end there. I recognize the carved notes. These are my mother's carvings. For once in so many phases, she feels close. I am fascinated by the structure she speaks of, behaving like nothing I have ever heard. I must know more. I scan the walls around me and hone in on an elaborate mural marked by the Myona Reef symbol. The mural told the story of light. It detailed the time when the first Aun was created, how the Aun gave life to the first people. As the relationship between the people and the Aun grew stronger, more Auns filled the dark sky, and more people populated Ioruun. The relationship grew until an Aun so big and so bright filled the sky. Its light illuminated Ioruun as far as one could see. There was no struggle. Food, water, and shelter were plentiful. Nothing to fear. Then the mural took a darker tone. The people became greedy. They wanted more, and they couldn't agree on what they wanted. This caused divisions. People separated into different groups, severing their relationship with the Auns. The separate groups hoarded the light, because more light meant more power. As the divisions furthered, the Auns began to weaken and disappear. Ioruun was left with less and less light, while the separate groups scavenged for scraps. The creatures of the dark capitalized on the growing darkness and pushed the groups of people into hiding. Then the mural just stops. We lost our connection to the light. That's why the Aun disappeared. We are getting further and further from where we are supposed to be. I stand for a moment, comprehending this course-altering information. The group would benefit from seeing this mural, but will they understand? Or will they pass it off as just another story? I think about how my father would feel if he knew I was here. I cannot tell anyone I found this place. I can't trust them. They don't trust me. They will likely forbid me from ever visiting again. I rest on the floor and stare through the hole in the ceiling. The other Owns have since moved. Now Oloaun floats alone in the darkness. I hope my mother is looking now. What am I to do, Mother? Oloaun remains bright in the sky. I will find you. My thoughts move to the incident on the canyon floor. I cannot travel alone. But I remember what Group Mother said. Show your worth, and others will listen. I sit with her words for some time. I must travel with the support of the Junarif. And how better to gain their trust than to provide what we need most? My choice is clear. I know what role I must assume. I rise from the stone floor and realize how much time has passed. Group members are going to wake soon and begin their routines. I can't be here when they do. I gather my items and snuff my loun. I will return. Fike's luminescence leads me out through the opening, and I feel my way along the ledge, remembering that my rope back to the main plateau now hangs on the other side of the gap. I speak to Fike's glow. I know it has been some time, but I trust that you can catch me. His glow stares up at me. Move quickly. I then retrieve the yun rope from behind me and hold one loop ring end in each hand. With my back to the stone cliff, I fall into the abyss. Without hesitation, I toss the loop ring into the darkness above me, while gripping the other tightly. As I descend through the void, I can only hope. Fike then hooks the loop ring and glides me toward the central plateau. I brace myself before arriving at the stone cliff face, grasping desperately for holds. My hands find the stone and I hug the wall tightly. Fike lands to my side and I retrieve the loop ring. We traverse up to the perimeter path, and I untie the useless tool, not to leave any trace. Fike and I then travel the perimeter path through the vertical farms of Yunru until we reach my den. I collapse into the sleeping hammock and rest in the thrill of such a monumental find. A place of so much fortune, lost to the darkness. Now motivated, I know what I must do next. I must speak with Group Mother.